Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Purpose Driven Marriage Podcast. We are excited to be here, even though we look a bit tired. To be sincere, we've just had
Been a long
it's been
weekend.
a long
It's a
weekend for
weekend.
us, but we
Yeah.
are here and
Yeah.
we're excited. As usual, this is the podcast by the grace of God where we model kingdom marriage and we help you align
God's
to the purpose
purpose
of God
for
for your
marriage.
marriage. In case this is your first time joining us, my name is Dr. Samuel Ekundao, and this is my wonderful, beautiful, beloved wife.
I'm blessing Nikunayo.
If you can hear us loud and clear, please help us type loud and clear, just so that we know that we are not speaking to ourselves.
That you
And
can hear us.
yes, very important because even though everything looks okay, but it's always good to know that we are being heard. Thank you very much. Today we're going to be talking about communication, the lifeblood of your marriage, the lifeblood of our marriage, the lifeblood of any relationship. If you remove communication, literally you are murdering the marriage.
Murdering.
Yes, so murdering. Sorry for those who are diction experts. One of my mentees, Motorai Ore, would have corrected me sharp, sharp. So yeah,
Yes. So today's communication and communication, like my husband said, is the lifeblood of marriage.
yeah,
And so, if you want to have a successful marriage, if your marriage is going to be working like it's doing great, successful, you cannot do without communication in marriage.
absolutely.
Yes. The moment you stop communicating, your marriage starts dying. And before you and your husband or you and your spouse, wife got together, you had to communicate. Both of you had to make your intentions known.
Yeah,
Or maybe your husband told you as a woman, I love you, can you spend the rest of my life with me? You proposed. And then you also
again,
communicated and said, oh, yes, I
yes,
will. Yes, and then on the day of the marriage also,
a
when
sort of
wedding,
exchange of vows,
exactly. Yes,
everything.
I
Yeah,
do, for better for worse. So there was that communication. I also like to say that we would not be in the world today without God communicating, with the rest of the Trinity. Let us make man
in our own
in our own
image.
image. Yes, and that's what brought us into existence today.
Yeah,
So we also know that communication is a major issue when it's not happening in marriage.
yeah,
It can cause divorce. It can lead to divorce. In
yeah,
fact.
yeah.
So let's talk about it.
From time to time, when you see people bring their marital issue on social media, usually the answer is communicate.
Yeah.
Talk about it, guys, But you realize many people have married people they can't communicate with.
That's deep.
Yeah.
It's very
Many,
sad.
many people have
Yeah.
married people they can't communicate with. They are scared to communicate with. They are scared to talk to. So they now bring it on social media so that other people can help them talk to their husband
Their spouse.
or wife. Yeah, they are afraid to talk to their spouse about something. They're afraid to get into some conversations. They think it to be uncomfortable for the other person and all of that. But that is what marriage is all about. Anything you don't talk about, you can't really move forward with.
Yes,
And that's why we want to really talk about it today so that we can share some. We have had some communication pitfalls in our marriage, and of course there are still areas we're still working on. So let's talk about some of these things today that we believe, if we share today, might really help quite a lot of people be able to, maybe change things in their home.
yes. And before we talk about it, I think it's important to also talk about what communication really is. Because when we talk about communication, people think it's just about talking, unless we are talking. That's what
Yeah.
comes to some people's mind when we talk about communication. We're actually talking about speaking and understanding
Each other.
each other. Yes, because I can say something to my husband and he misinterprets it and is thinking I'm saying something completely. I'm like, well, that's not what I'm talking about. So I'm like,
Yeah.
no, the way you said it means that. I'm like, so it's important that you have not. I mean, it's important to know that you have not effectively communicated
If the other
until,
person, yeah.
yes, other person actually understands your thoughts, your intentions, the reason why you said what you said.
Yeah.
That's when you have actually communicated.
Yeah, and that's why the channel of communication is very important. Perhaps even more than what you're trying to communicate. The way you communicate, how you say what you say, is almost more important than what you are actually saying.
Yes, that I love that, and I like
Yeah.
to always say that how you say what you say is more important than what you say.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you tell someone, there's a way you can tell someone go to hell, and the person will take the bus and start going, like voluntarily
Straight
with
to
joy,
hell.
straight. And then there's a way also you tell the person go to hell, and the person will come back and attack you. The same way you can tell someone sorry, and then you can also tell someone sorry now. The same way you can tell someone go there or go away, and then
Yeah.
go away,
Like get out of here.
You know.
Just you're saying it like in a fun way, get
Yeah.
out, Joe. Get out.
That Instagram meme that people say get out of here. There's a way you can say get out of here, and then there's a way you can say get out of here. So and there's so many things at play between the difference or the channel of communicating that get out of here that changes what you're actually trying to say. You see many people, they're apologizing, but the apology is not getting anywhere because of the way they are saying what they are actually trying to say. So, and many marriages are falling on these rocks of not knowing how to communicate. And some people will say, hey, but that's me. I don't really know how to, that's just how I talk.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, why did he marry me? In fact, that's exactly how he married me. No, that's to be very sincere, that's foolishness. Anyone who you see who is always talking like that person doesn't have a growth mindset. That person wants to remain the way they are for the rest of their life and die like that. That's God. Even God can't work with such a person. Anyone that God is going to work with must have a growth mindset. Anyone who's going to have a great marriage must have a growth mindset. In fact, there was a time we were looking at our marriage, and I was reflecting over the last 12 years, because we're 12 years in marriage. And to be very sincere, one of the things that I realized very powerfully was, a major ingredient that God has used to help our marriage is the fact that we are growing. We are growing. We are intentional about learning, being teachable, addressing things, being intentional about some things that, we're telling each other and we're doing those things. But if you see anyone where, they just don't want to be teachable, like what we are sharing with some people now, some people will be like, no, that's not for me. We are communicating my marriage, we are good. Then you just realize that people's marriage will just remain the same. Yeah.
Yes. And before we get into the principles that we're going to share today, it's important for us to be aware that communication many people already know. Some people know, some people don't know. For those who don't know, it's verbal and non-verbal. The verbal aspect contains like the spoken words, what things that you actually say, while the non-verbal contains, your gestures, that body language, that's eyeing them, that look, that disdain, that everything. So it's important that you realize that even when you talk, the way you look at your spouse when you talk. I remember, back in our early days of marriage when my husband is going to.
Sorry, I just realized that we didn't connect your microphone. Thank you, Feoluwa, for letting us know. We will do something about it immediately. Yes. I just saw in my message chat that we didn't connect our own microphone.
So
that's why
you've not been hearing me.
We've not been hearing you. All right, there we go. Yay, we fixed it.
Can you hear me all right now? Thank you for the feedback.
Apparently, it's my microphone that you've been using. Even though I'm seeing it moving, but it was mine.
Okay. Thank you for the feedback. Let me know if you can hear me better now. So I was saying that, communication involves verbal and non-verbal, and then verbal has to do with your spoken words and the non-verbal has to do with your gestures, and, the way you say what you say. Because I remember back in the days, our early days of marriage, my husband will say, he will want to correct me, for something. And then I would pick up on his look, like the way he says is saying what he's saying. And I'm like, you're correcting, but I don't like how you are saying it. I don't like what you're like. And he's like, don't forget about how I'm saying it. Just listen to the correction. I'm like,
she will say my countenance it has that of disdain. And the moment she sees the moment she sees my countenance like this, she can no longer listen. To everything I'm trying. I
can no longer listen.
I'm trying to communicate something that is really, really deep in my heart, and you now say because of the way I look, you cannot hear.
So the way he's talking, like the voice should not be loud. I'm like, nah. It's not working. It's not working for us.
I say my voice is loud. I say, but my voice is loud on a normal day. This is how I talk. It's I say, stop shouting. I say, I'm not shouting.
So those are very interesting things that happen with communication in marriage. And statistics already show us that about 7% of spoken words, has that element of communication. So your words is just about 7%. That means that the way you say it, the tone of your voice carry a lot more percentage. So that's you're communicating more. With your attitude, your gestures, just eye rolling, the actions are speaking louder than the words.
Body language.
Yes, while the voice and the tone only carry about 38%, and the rest, your body language carries about 55%. So it means that if you're going to communicate effectively to your spouse, you got to watch out for your body language.
Yeah.
How are you saying what you're saying? Don't just say it's just that's what I said. Well, whatever you say, your body language is carrying more volume.
Yeah, it's carrying it's
More
a
volume.
bigger channel than your voice.
Yeah. So you need to pay attention to that.
Yeah, and this is why many people, get it wrong. Of course, we got it wrong a lot in the early years of our marriage. We struggled in the early years of our marriage. Some of these things that we're talking about were some of our earlier struggles, But as we grow, we started to learn. That's the importance of teachability that I talked about. We started to learn and we started to address some of those things. Okay, all right, how do I look when I talk? Okay, I need to look better because that's part of the body language. Why my voice is naturally loud. Okay, if I'm trying to say something important, maybe I try to bring it down a bit. At the same time, she too needs to balance that by realizing that, okay, what I'm trying to say is really very important, and maybe overlook if I'm still not looking, even though I've tried looking the way she would prefer that I look, at least try and understand, so there's been that balance over the years.
Yes, and adjustments.
That's really helpful. So let's share some what we call tips or principles that we feel are extremely crucial, that have helped us, that we've learned and have really helped us in our communication. We hope that maybe may not be all, will help you in your communication with your spouse as well.
Yes. So the first principle is the tone of your voice when you're communicating. It's important that you watch the tone of your voice. Avoid yelling, avoid shouting, avoid screaming at your spouse.
Avoid nagging.
Yeah, I mean, you could feel like, oh, but this is how I feel, at the moment. Like this is how I can express myself. If you feel like you have to raise your voice, then that is not the right time to actually express whatever it is that you want to express. That's not the right time to communicate that. Communicate when you can get your emotions together, when it should not feel that you are screaming or shouting, or yelling at them. Because when you are yelling or shouting, then you are not communicating effectively. Your spouse will feel attacked. Your spouse will feel belittled. Your spouse will not feel respected. Your spouse would not feel good. So at the end of the day, the purpose or the goal of your communication, for example, if you want your spouse to change, you realize that the issue has become something else. Like, and you stop shouting at them, I'm not shouting at you. You start just, it just escalates to something else. So the best thing is speak with, normal, in fact, low tone,
with steeze and composure.
In a demure way.
The tone is very, very powerful because, like we said earlier on, if your tone is not right, even what you're trying to say will not come out as right. So it's extremely crucial that you plan ahead, especially when you're trying to say something important. I mean, if it's just joking and jesting and everyone's just having fun, that's okay.
That's all right.
However, if you're trying to convey something really important, watch your tone. Watch your tone. The moment the other person feels attacked, I mean, it's just natural. The way they will respond back will be either attacking or defensive. So they will either be offensive or defensive. And once that is the case, guess what? Nobody's hearing each other. Somebody said, according to research, that the moment the human emotion takes over in conversation, right, then the brain is no longer working. It's the emotion that is now working. So if you say something that triggers someone's emotion and they are angry, they are no longer thinking. It's their anger that is now thinking for them. So
that's really bad.
Everything else you do after that, once they're already angry, is hard. That's why you see someone that is angry, everything you are saying, they are not hearing you. It's the anger, the emotion that they are conveying. The very same way too, if you are able to serenade somebody and they're just happy and jovial, right? Anything else you do after that, they don't see it. They're just jovial. They're just happy already. So it's extremely important that because the tone is like the introduction of whatever you're trying to communicate. The tone is how they say the first impression. The tone is your first impression. So if I come to her now and I go, "Hey babe," that's already an introduction, a tone. But if I go, "You don't always," I don't even say, "Hey babe," I didn't you don't always do this. You'll never do this. That in the introduction has spoiled everything. No matter what you say after that, even if you now say, "You don't always do this," but the Bible now say, it just does not work again. So tone is very, very important.
because the other person now feels like, oh, this is not a safe space. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not safe here. With it, so are you gonna hit me right now?
So very, very, very important.
Yeah. So the second principle is the time. Is that okay?
Timing,
Time.
yes, the
Time. Yeah,
timing.
your timing is very, very important. Don't just say, this is how I feel, so I'm gonna say it right
Let me say
now.
it now.
Yeah.
Let me give it.
As
Give
it's
them a
hot.
piece of my mind.
Yes.
Excuse me. You're not God, though. Even God too sometimes doesn't just talk like that.
Yes. So it's
So watch your
important.
timing.
Yeah, it's important that you watch your timing. When is the right time to say this kind of thing, to my husband or to my wife? How do I, when are they in the right frame of mind to be able to, understand and
Comprehend.
listen to what I'm
Dialogue.
going to
Yes.
say? Should I, if you're going to say something really important to your husband, for example, it should not be when he's just come back from work after
A stressful day.
a stressful day. You're not bringing him issues with things you want him to work on. Like, he's not going to, in fact, he's going to be upset.
Yeah.
You don't know how his day has been at work. Maybe he's been slammed by his boss or something.
Yeah.
And you're telling him also that he needs to change, wrong timing. What you might want to say might be really key, might be very important, but that timing is totally wrong. And you're like, oh, he's not listening to me. He cannot listen to you, my sister. He cannot listen to you.
Oh, my brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when your spouse is watching their favorite TV show,
they're watching Arsenal, like me, that an Arsenal fan
yes,
now.
or K-drama or something it
wrong
cannot
timing.
work. So you have to find the right time, and it could be that you ask them, oh, sweetheart, I want us to discuss something important.
Yeah.
I find that I've heard that husbands, they get scared or anxious when the wives tell them, can we talk, or we need to
There's
talk.
something important. Yeah.
Oh no, that statement, we need to talk, is like what has happened? I don't know how true it is, but
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
heard that when they hear we need to talk, it's like what has happened? Like, am I in trouble?
Oh yeah, what have I done wrong? That's usually the Kenny on our mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
the thoughts
So,
on our mind.
but if you can find a more gentle way to say it, oh babe, there's something I like us to talk about. There's something I like us to discuss. There's this thing on my mind I like us to discuss. Then maybe that, I don't know. Does that sound a bit more gentle?
Yeah, sounds better. Obviously, sounds better. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important to watch the timing.
Yes, avoid times where the other person is tired, worn out, stressed, overwhelmed. I've just avoid it completely. And then there are some men and women who like to wake people up in the middle of the night to have important discussion. Sincerely speaking, I don't know, but that thing does not work for me. Or maybe because I normally sleep later.
It cannot work for me too, because I love my sleep.
You wake me up at 3 a.m. to say, because
we need to
it's
talk.
a very important talk. Hello. So know your spouse.
Emergency.
Know your spouse. Maybe if your spouse is that kind of person that can be woken up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. to discuss important matters, that's if it works,
it's working for you.
It may be working in your home. Maybe that's the time you would have more serenity. The kids are not there and all of that. But just watch the timing. Make sure that it's a time that is conducive for both of you. The other person feels honored and respected, at that time, and so on. Very,
and it could be that you could ask the other person to, when is a good time for us to discuss this. Don't assume that, maybe he's eating, he's rested, this would be a good time. You don't know what is happening to him or her mentally, in their mental health space. So asking them when to be a good time to talk about whatever it is that you want them to talk about is a good idea. So they can suggest a time, and if it works for two of you, then that's a perfect time to have that discussion. But both of you can sit down and you know that you are paying full attention to what it is that's you're going to be discussing.
You need them. At the end of the day, the goal of you trying to say whatever anyone's trying to say is that the other person listens, understands, and and
is able to make work on
do
it.
something about it. So if number one, you are not willing to use the right tone, you're not willing to do it at the right time, then that communication is already communication fail from the beginning. It's failure from the beginning. Excuse me. So what are you trying to achieve? So this thing, some people are not even aware of this things that we're sharing here. Some of you already aware. Maybe it's a reminder. But be intentional. Be intentional about timing. Be intentional about tone and all the other things that we might mention right after.
Yes. And the other thing we need to talk about is place. So
the place,
tone, time, place. The place is very important. Avoid, shouting, or if shouting is not even right, but avoid, talking about sensitive topics, in front of the kids, for example, in front of your family members. If these things you need to talk about them, find a place where it's just two of you, and you want to discuss that issue. So it could be that you might have to leave the house. It could be that maybe you guys...
We've had to go to restaurants sometimes just to be able to hear each other out. Because we realize when we're in the comfort of our homes, someone like me, my voice is always loud. But when you're in a restaurant, you cannot be shouting in the restaurant now. You cannot be saying, hey, you're not always doing this.
That's how I talk.
Everybody in restaurants will maintain our steeze and composure. Even though you're angry, you'll be holding each other's hand and be talking about it. What you did 2 days ago, I don't like it. You have to maintain, because you're in a, you don't want people to think like you're
not okay. Or it could be that you go for a walk, or go to a park, or somewhere where you feel like both of you would be
able to talk.
Talk and hear each other.
And there are some
out.
things you don't talk in front of the kids, obviously, depending on what you want to talk about. So but there are some people who don't know these things. They just it's hitting them hot. They want to address it hot.
You don't scold your spouse in front of other people. It's not okay. Your mom or your dad, they are there, your children are there, and then you think that's the right place to correct. Can't you see how to you're talking to him or her anyhow in front in front of anybody at all. You're just crushing that spouse's esteem, ego. It is not okay. It is not okay. You can correct them, but that's not the place to correct them.
The moment you do that, you have lost that communication. You have lost that person, and it would degenerate into something that you didn't want. You don't want it to, or you never expected. So don't be intentional about the place.
Absolutely,
be intentional about the place. I know some of us have personalities that are very dominant, and you feel like you could just do whatever you want at any time. They would understand. No, they won't understand. Remember, if you trigger a wrong emotion in the person you're trying to communicate to, that emotion will override everything else you're trying to say. All of a sudden they're not even hearing you at all. Whereas you are trying to say something weighty, but because of the way and the place, the time, the tone, all the things we have mentioned, you have lost them. So what then is the gain of that communication? And you'll be even angry that they are not listening to you. Hello, but you are the one that initiated it at the wrong time with the wrong tone, at the wrong place. It just makes it worse. Right. So the next principle we're talking about is positivity. Let your words build up. Don't let your words tear down.
Absolutely.
If your words tear down, remember, you then trigger an emotion that is negative. And if you trigger a negative emotion, nothing positive.
Negative response. Negative reaction.
Comes out of a negative emotion. So the goal of communicating whatever you want to communicate is to build up, not to tear down. I know, naturally, if someone has hurt you, you want to hurt them back, because hurt people hurt people. Right? Someone has hurt you. There is a subconscious notion to hurt back. So let them have a taste of their medicine. But hello, no productivity can come out of that. Nothing effective. It just will now get worse. So because I'm hurt, I want to hurt her. Guess what? She too will want to hurt me back. And then
hurt cycle.
It becomes a hot cycle. And then it takes
it degenerates into something terrible. So it's best to avoid. And if you're going to say you want to correct your spouse, we always encourage that you come up with praises first, rather than just criticize. Maybe for example, my husband, I didn't like what he did. I don't know, maybe in church, and I want to correct him. Like, babe, why did you talk like that? Or why did you preach like that? Why did you, no, babe, today was wonderful, man. I love the way the service went. You handled it so well. You on the keyboard, like the music was beautiful. The setup was excellent. And your dressing was on point. I really,
you see, you have triggered emotion
of praises. Babe, you are really looking on point. I was super blessed. That message touched my spirit. In fact, it starts feeling good, and then when I finish, I was like, sweetheart, I think, maybe, just a bit of a feedback, for the message next time. Maybe that example, maybe you shouldn't have said it like that, but otherwise, it was brilliant. So I ended the beginning with praises. So I still not to say, but it's like, I did not sort of make it massive.
You didn't make it negative as well.
So I sandwiched my points in a lot of praises, but I still passed across the message. So he's not unlike, oh babe, that example was horrible. I could, of all the examples I could give, that's the only example you could add, and I was it just spoiled the whole message, and I was that's just the end. And then he'll be like, what do you mean? So
no communication conveyed. How does
exactly,
communication
so
failure straight away?
positivity, very important.
Women, there's something the Bible says that women respect your husband. Respect for women means love, right? We see love as respect, and usually whenever you want to say something really, really important to a man, to your husband rather, if you don't approach it from a place of respect, you may have lost the man from the very beginning, and that means the purpose for which you're sharing what you're sharing is not achieved, right? And that it just doesn't go well. So it's very important that you approach it from a place of respect, where you put praises forward and then communicate what you are trying to communicate. Very, very important. So really, really, really crucial for women to know this, and of course we men too. We have to respect our wives. Some men have this approach that is their wife, they can talk to their wife anyhow. No. If anybody you don't respect, you probably struggle to communicate effectively with them. Even your children, if they get the sign that you just disdain them anyhow, you just be shouting and they'll be looking at you. So it is important that you not always find the wrongs in people. It's very easy to always find the wrongs in people. You don't get to do this right, you never do this right, you never do this, you always do this. In fact, avoid those two words, always and never. You never do this, you always do this. The moment you do this, they say those two words, what do you want the person to say again?
It's like, I'm not good enough, I'm not good at all. In fact, you never get it right. Okay, that means I can never get anything right. Or you're always saying, but it's just horrible, and what you end up realizing is that the person who wants to defend themselves. So you mean that I've never done this before, I never do this right. What about the other day?
Whereas what you're trying to say is dead, but they've not listened.
And so you just realize that they'll carry you where not to go to. So it's important to bear that in mind. Positivity, very critical.
Keep it positive. Nothing positive comes out of a negative approach. Always positive approach, very important. And the next one is similar to what we've just said: respect. Respect. Speak honorably, not condescendingly. Right? Speak honorably, not condescendingly. If the moment someone feels like you are,
putting them down,
you don't respect them, you've lost them. You've lost them, no matter what you're trying to say. If you're saying something important, avoid sarcasm. As much as possible. There are some people that they just giving everything is sarcasm, or they are saying something important, they are laughing. There's this way some people will just chuckle at, and it's something important that you're trying to convey, and you are chuckling and you are laughing. The person can't take you seriously. The person feels like you're laughing at them, or you're chuckling at them, or you are making fun of them, or you've lost the whole plot. So, and again, this has to do with each person, right? So some people may not mind your sarcasm in an important talk, so do what works for you, but just make sure that whatever it is that you're doing is conveying respect
to the other person. Very important.
Dr. Baby says, I totally agree with you, sir and ma. The place of positive criticism rather than piling down with our words will enhance spouse self-esteem. You cannot destroy someone's self-esteem and imagine them to agree with you.
Or to esteem you.
So you just finish someone's self-esteem like this. You just say, you never do this, you never do this. And then you expect them, after you have said all of that, to now say,
okay, I'll start doing it.
I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting.
For the negative feedback.
Unless you are an oppressor and you've just oppressed their life and battered their life, that's when they do that. But if you have a healthy spouse, healthy home,
healthy relationship,
you can't pile up on somebody with negativity and expect a positive response. It does not work that way. So if you are expecting a positive response, then give them positivity as well. Honor them, respect them, and then what you are going to get back will be, guess what? And then you both continue to grow, and whatever it is you're trying to say will get across.
Yes, I guess all of this just if there was a word to encompass all the things we are saying, it would be love.
Speak
Speak with
with
love, communicate with love. If you've got love for your spouse, even in the moment where you are upset, you're not happy with them, because those moments can come. Still extend love,
And
show love,
kindness.
kindness, grace.
Grace, yeah.
Accommodate their
Excesses,
excesses, forgiveness, all of those things
Insufficiencies.
would go a long way into how you express your hurts. Especially when you believe the best of your spouse. We all have we all have weaknesses, and we sometimes make mistakes. But when you believe the best of your spouse, and you don't believe that, okay, this person has done this thing because they have the intention to wanting to hurt me, unless you are
Believe
in
the
a
best of your spouse.
unless you are in a wrong marriage, or the person you're married to is just a bad person. But if they're not bad people, but they've done things that you don't like, believe the best of them.
Yeah.
They've done this thing, I don't like it, but I'm sure that
They're not intentionally trying to
they
hurt
didn't
me.
do it to want to hurt me. So I just need to find a way to let them know that what they did actually hurt me.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like it, and I would love that it doesn't happen again, and we move on from there. So if you're hurt with your spouse, I think communicating also is, avoid assumptions, avoid.
Yeah, that's actually one of the next point.
Yes.
Clarity.
Yes, clarity.
Speak with clarity. Speak with clarity, so that the other person is not assuming anything from what you are trying to say. Speak plainly. In fact, let me speak to the women here. All the men say amen.
Why are you clearing your truth?
I'm clearing my throat because this is a very
Something
important.
your truth.
It's women that are usually at fault when it comes to speaking with clarity.
Okay.
A woman will tell you no, but what they actually mean is yes. Is everything okay? Is everything okay? Whereas everything is not okay. So women, please, from all the association of husbands, we want to plead with you. Please speak plainly.
Talk to me directly if you're talking to me
Let me
directly.
talk to you directly. Speak plainly. Mean what you say and say what you mean. All this one that are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. And clearly you are not okay. Speak clearly, because clarity helps communication. I mean, you are saying no, but you want me to read your mind to realize that you
yes.
actually mean yes. Excuse me, now that's borderline witchcraft.
Come into my mind.
Yeah.
It's not witchcraft.
No, she
We
said
are one. Spirit
I
to
don't
our
know as a
body.
human being. So please tell me exactly how it is. Let me know. Is everything okay? No, everything's not okay. That's a good place to start, and then we can. Why is it not okay? But when is everything okay? Is everything's okay? And then next thing you're still doing your face like this. And you're carrying that face around the house, or you're now whistling and
singing beautiful songs that pass across your message.
The Gwebi said they want us to discern. This might
pray for the spirit of discernment.
The gift of discernment we are praying for is not to be used in that kind of scenario. Please, let's speak with clarity.
Clarity, yeah.
Say things as they are. Don't expect the other person to figure out your mind or what you are. After you have said A, be expecting the person to realize that what you're actually meaning to say is B. No. Say the B, and let's now deal with it. I think it's a key important principle in communication.
Yeah, I do agree, and also vice versa. But the other thing I was going to talk about with regards to clarity and assumption is that some people, they assume that their spouse should know better. Not just their mind, but know better how to do things, or know better what they should do to help, or to for example, as women, we are
Maybe
sometimes
you need extra help.
Yes, we need you're feeling overwhelmed already at home, maybe with the chores, with things that you have to do, and you still have the kids to look after, and you just feel that can't he see that I need help?
You should be able to see that I'm overwhelmed or stressed. Bless you.
Or you should know. And you're not communicating what you really want. So then you begin to have misunderstandings as a result of that.
Yeah.
It can cause a lot of problem.
Yeah, it's very important. Bless you. It's very important to say what you need. right, at that particular point in time, because you are thinking the other person should know. Can't he see that I'm struggling? Can't he see, or can't she see that I'm going through this? Can't she? No, say what you want, and at least you have said it. But of course, with all the things that we said earlier on, with a good tone at the right time, in the right place, all of those things, just be intentional and say that, oh, I want more sex, so I want you to help me more in the kitchen, or
Yes,
I want this, so say it out loud, and let the devil be ashamed. Like, like we normally say it, and then the other person can now respond. But when you are not saying it and you are hoping that one day they will figure it out, or they should have known by now, and all of those sort of things, then you realize that you're not communicating at all. The clearer the communication, the better it is.
Yeah.
And the unclear the communication, the worse it is.
So express your expectations. That's what we are saying.
Yeah.
Communicate your expectations. Sometimes some people come, oh, my husband is not doing this, my husband is not doing that. But guess what? They're reporting the husband or the wife to me, but they haven't actually communicated that to the husband or wife.
Yeah.
I'm like, they'll tell him.
Yeah, you're coming for counseling, but you have not told the husband what they're doing wrong. You have not told the wife what they're doing wrong. You're telling other people what they've done wrong. Then you are the only one that can really effectively tell them. And if they are not listening, then we can also
get
counseling.
help. Yes. So
yeah, all right, and that takes us to the last one. Prayer. There are sometimes you're trying to get through to someone, you've tried to say everything you're trying to say, or like we said, every single time you're trying to bring something across, all right, the devil always seems to fight it. Then you should pray. We have a question. In a case where you communicate what you want and you are still not getting the response you need after a few times, what do you do? There are a few things to do in that case. One can literally re-communicate back and say, excuse me, we've talked about this, however, I'm not getting the response this is the response I'm actually wanting, or this is what I expect will be the outcome of this this thing that I've conveyed, but I'm not getting it, is there anything the matter? Is there anything I can help with? That sort of a thing. Like you set it very, very clearly, because if you need that thing done or you need the change, then you have to go the extra mile, extend grace, allow them time. There are some things that we're communicating to our spouse that it's not like they don't want to change, but maybe that thing is part of their personality, and it will take a while for them to actually change. It will take some people take years for them to change, to change that thing. So extending grace, communicating again and again with love, with intention is very important.
And sometimes you could get to depending on what it is, sometimes you just need to accept that this is who this person is, and they may not actually really change. That's the reality.
And if they change, bonus.
So sometimes especially when it's connected to a person's personality, it's tough to change, for them to change. And you just need to adjust and accept that this is what it is for that person, and with love, with everything. If you feel like it's something that is causing a lot of problem in the marriage, then what do you need to get help? Counseling,
therapy too sometimes, if it's based
figure
on
out what is causing this, all of this. So ask also, let the person communicate what's the reason why they are struggling to change, what's helping you. It will help you to understand and empathize with whatever it is that is going on for them. So change is not easy, but for us expecting the change, we want it like quickly.
Instantly, yes. I remember there was a time I was communicating some things I wanted my wife to change, and I went on rambling about if you change like this, marriage would be amazing, it would be great, it would be good. The whole time she just continue to let me ramble. I can't remember for how long. And then later on, I now said, do you understand me? Do you get me? Next thing she just said, of all the things I have said, you didn't even ask, why have I not changed? Or why have I not, done what you want me to do? I was like, hey, Jesus. In my mind, I was like, we are back to square one, but that was a very powerful statement she made. I realized many times when I'm asking her or when I'm communicating an expectation, right, I don't always ask why. Maybe she's doing things the way she was doing it before, because if I ask why, I could get a revelation of it, rather than me thinking I know why she's doing what she's doing. In fact, as part of me communicating my expectations, sometimes I normally put the assumption of, oh, I think this is the reason why you are not doing what I want, what I want you to do. Whereas our own reason is completely different, and that has really helped. Nowadays, when I communicate my expectation, sometimes I become very intentional in asking, so why don't you normally do this? And then the why then informs how I then, go ahead to respond, going forward.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
And sometimes also to add to some of the points that we've highlighted, also sometimes we could be the ones to initiate that change that we are looking for in our spouse.
Yeah.
We could be the ones to model the change.
Especially if you've married an understanding spouse and not one
Yeah.
of those narcissistic, oppressive.
Yes,
people. Yeah.
yes. So I remember when we got married, and I don't usually put things back into positions. My husband that told me a few
She
times
has
and things
improved
like
a lot,
that.
but we're still getting there.
But that I thought you said we've gotten there.
I said we are still getting there.
But I started saying what he will be doing. So rather than him telling me, "Oh, baby, didn't return that thing to that place,"
I
"Oh, baby,"
myself.
yeah. So I will notice that, "Oh, I didn't put this thing back in position, but my husband has actually put it back in position." Like, okay. So for me, I was more intentional about making sure that, okay, whenever I end, or else we're going to put it back there, and that means he doesn't like it, as I has got to do it by himself. He doesn't want problem. So sometimes it helps. It helps to when you model that change you're wanting to see.
Yeah. By the grace of God, we are still putting it there. But, she oh my God. Yeah. Praise God.
I hope that helps. So just
Yeah.
back to the point we're trying to talking about prayer. It's important that you pray. Talk to God about, sometimes I want to communicate something important things to my husband. I make sure that I pray. I say, God,
first,
take control. Help me to say the right things. Help me to, Holy Spirit, minister to his heart, to his mind, so that he understands the reason behind what I'm saying and he doesn't misinterpret it. Let God take control of that conversation. And you'll be surprised how far that can go. And you also, while God is taking control, make sure that you take control of yourself too.
Yeah, so that you don't spoil God's work. The Bible says the heart of a king is in God's hands, and like the rivers of water, he directed with us wherever he wants. So allowing God to also be involved in that conversation, in that communication,
makes
is
difference.
extremely important. There are sometimes you're trying to get through to your spouse and you're just not getting through. It's like you're hitting a brick wall every single time. Using prayers really, really, really does help, right?
Yeah.
Praise God.
Hallelujah. I hope this helps.
Yeah, we hope this has been a blessing to you.
Yeah.
You've picked up one or two things, or maybe this has just been reminders for you in your home. Please leave us a comment on some of the effective communication practices you also do in your home. Put in the comment section, maybe if you're watching the recording later or even live right now. That helps us as well. We too can learn from you. All right. So it's not just from us to you, but it can also be from you
to us.
Yeah. And next week, by the grace of God, we'll also continue. There's some major things that we also would like to still share on this communication, the lifeblood of marriage. All right. Let's quickly use the opportunity to honor those who have watched us live. We really enjoyed the interaction today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Feolua, for letting us know that
my mic was not working
earlier on. Thank you to our own Ifeoluwa. God bless you.
Thank you
Jacinta
so much.
Anuka, thanks for joining. Hey, our brother John Alechenu is joined us today. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Anuka we joined us as well. Thank you. Dr. Temitok Baby joined us too.
Thank you so
we
much,
love it.
sir.
So thank you so much. Thank you for your interaction. Once again, we hope this has been a blessing to you. For those of us who are live but you didn't leave a comment, there was no way in the world we're gonna know unless the Holy Spirit reveals it. It will be after the show. So
and if you're watching the replay, please feel free to leave a comment.
Leave a comment as well. Let us know some effective communication practices or any questions you might have. Leave it there. We'll try and respond later. God bless you. Have a great day.
And don't forget to subscribe to this channel.
Subscribe to this channel. Bye bye.